Hi friends, it's Doreen, and today I'm working on a recipe that I have been working on. I'm trying to perfect it. It's a crispy oven baked chicken, and this one is a little bit different. It's got some honey, some ginger, and we're going to top it off with some hot honey sauce that I made in a previous video. Make sure you catch that. But let's go on and see how this turns out our next time around. I think it's going to be good. All right, I've taken my chicken. I've got chicken thighs because this is really going to be nice and moist and juicy. And also the thighs, you want it with the bone and with the skin because that's part of having it nice and crispy. Now I've been marinating this for about an hour in some buttermilk. Now I didn't have buttermilk, but you can make buttermilk by having like a cup of milk and actually don't, let's not take them all out at once. Let's pat them dry. 1 teaspoon of vinegar and a cup of milk, and that'll give you some buttermilk, and that will work out fine. So I'm just drying these off. Some paper towels. Can you see me? Here. This is going to help us have a crispier chicken. I love fried chicken. I thought about doing it as fried chicken. You certainly can, because with the hot honey, because like that's the new rate, right? Hot honey, hot honey. That's all I ever hear anymore. So I'm like, I had to get on the bandwagon. What about you? Have you had hot honey sauce? My husband, at first he was like, I'm not sure about this. Now he's put in all kinds of stuff. He's put it in his coffee. It's crazy. I need another paper towel. He put it on, we had a cranberry loaf bread this morning, a walnut cranberry loaf. He had to put a little butter and then a little bit of that honey hot sauce. Like I said, at first he wasn't like so sure what he thought about it. And I only left a few seeds, chili flakes, in that sauce, and I swear it's gotten hotter. So anyway, we're gonna just ditch that. Let me wash my hands. Now we want to preheat our oven right now. And I debated, because I'm trying to think, last time I think I did it at 375. It takes a while. And then we could do it at 425, but I think that would be best if we didn't have a coating. And I'm going to put a coating on here, like with breadcrumbs and flour. So I'm going to put my oven to 375. We'll get that good and preheated. And let's put some of our seasoning on here. Now the trick to nice and crispy skin is to get that chicken nice and dry. So let's do the bottom side of those. How about if I let you see what I'm doing here instead of hiding in the corner? I need a director to say, Doreen, get in the shot. So right now I'm just going to put a little bit of the seasoning on here. I've got a house seasoning that I made of 1 teaspoon of salt, pepper, about half a teaspoon of garlic powder, and half a teaspoon of onion powder, and a little bit of fresh thyme. So let's put that on here. And we'll sprinkle the one side, and then we'll sprinkle the other side. And actually, I'm going to use ginger too. I'll put my ginger in there too. I'm going to use about a teaspoon. Let's just sprinkle some on because I didn't mix it in the mix on the other side. Let's put, I'm going to eyeball it. And that's probably a good 1/4 teaspoon or so, because we want that to be a little bit something different, right, than what most people are expecting on your fried chicken. Oh, I remember why I was going to do that, because we're going to add baking powder to this, so we got to do that now because we wanted it. Well, the thing is, I'm deciding if I want to do that now. Yeah, let's go ahead, because part of me, I can't remember, I didn't write down what I did last time, so I don't want this to, I don't know if it gets wet and sits for a while, if it's soggy and it won't give me the ultimate crispiness that I want. I need to remember to write things down. Anyway, let's give that a good whisk. That baking powder, we got 1 teaspoon. I've got it in the rest of my seasoning mix. And you want that good and stirred so you don't have any lumps at all. But this is going to help your chicken to be nice and crispy. I've done it with baking soda, but I think baking powder is better. So I'm nicely coating these. And you can set these out for a little bit, 20 minutes or so, or you can just let it go back in the refrigerator until you're ready to bake it. That way it dries out the breast or the thighs a little bit. I'm not doing chicken breast here, so I think I'll set mine in the fridge and we'll prep some other things if I have space. While we've got that chicken hanging out, let's go ahead and get everything else prepped. Now we're going to cook this on a baking sheet because it'll just come out crispier that way. So we're going to line it with some aluminum foil, get that ready, and you can lightly grease this. I'm going to lightly grease it with some coconut oil. Get that out, and let's use a paper towel and grease that. And then I made another seasoning, separate seasoning bowl for our flour and breadcrumbs mixture. We want to give it layers of, I usually give it layers of seasoning to get a lot of flavor there in the chicken. And you know, sometimes too, I've just done simply really like salt and pepper, little onion powder and garlic powder, kept it really basic, but this one is not too really elaborate. So the next batch, I just put about a 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of ground thyme leaves, or not ground thyme leaves, just dried thyme leaves, because the dried, you don't need that much in there because it's more of an intense flavor than the fresh. And being that's going to be on the top coating, I didn't want to put the fresh because we are cooking this with honey and I thought that might burn it. So I got that pan ready, and you can put, well, last time I used a rack. Hold on, I'm going to pause because when I get my rack out of my bottom bin of my oven, it's so noisy. So hold on. Okay, so I saved myself some time editing that loud noise out, and I wish I had a longer rack, but I don't. So we'll use this on here. It helps the air to flow over it. Now, let's see. I'm trying to think what I used last time. Oh, you know what? No, I have it right. But we'll have to figure out. Because I don't think all the pieces will fit on here. Let's see. Let's just leave this aside for now. But we've got that ready. And I went ahead and measured out. I'm trying to think if I told you. Oh, I used a whole teaspoon of black pepper and 3/4 a teaspoon of salt, and about a 1/4 teaspoon of the ground ginger. So we've got about 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour already measured out. I'm going to put this in a little Ziploc bag, and we'll shake our chicken in there. And we've got about, this is like a 1/2 cup of panko. Panko crumbs, give it that little crispierness. Now I have 5 pieces of chicken. I think last time I made this I had 4, so I think I might need to add a little bit more flour and a little bit more panko. I might like do two tablespoons of each. So we gotta wait for the other chicken to hang out a little bit. We've got like about less than 10 minutes, and we're gonna get coating this chicken and put it in the oven. Our chicken has been hanging out with its seasoning for about 20 minutes. And now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna dip it into about a 1/2 to 3/4 cup of honey. You're going to use your favorite honey, whatever you want. If you want it a little flavored, that won't clash with your dish, go ahead and do that. But this is what I did the last time. Usually I'll dip this in an egg mixture with a little bit of milk. But we're going to do it with the honey. We're going to give this a good shake in our mixture and then put that on the rack. Oh, and I should have greased the rack. I'm going to skip the rack because I didn't grease it. Now the bottom won't be as crispy unless I change my mind and after I do this, because my hands are all yucky now. After I do this, I might grease it and then put it back on there. And this really gives you a nice crunchy, crispy, a little bit different than the fried chicken, I think, but it's still pretty good. I've done it this way plenty of times in my 50 years of cooking or so. Actually, I guess it's more than 50 years. Years ago, I'm trying to think when the first cooking assignment was when my mom went to work and I used to babysit my brothers and sisters. That was probably my first learning how to cook, and then watching my grandmother and my great-grandmother. But on my own cooking, my first job was a living cook at a adult rest home, and I had about, I don't know, 15 to 20 clients there, and I had to cook for them. So it was quite a bunch of people, and I don't know how skilled I was at that point. I was like 19 years old, but I had to fill a need. And we all have our different things, experiences that we've gone through. And I pretty much always was a nurturer of being the oldest sibling, and I always watched over my siblings as a kid. And then when I worked at the rest home, there was a variety of aged people in there. They weren't just all seniors. There was some older people, but also some younger adults, probably like I would say younger, like maybe in their early 30s. But I was like a mama to them, and I loved cooking for that group because they just loved everything I did. So that was like a good nurturing for me to start out cooking, because I'm sure I cooked a lot of flops. I don't even remember, but yeah, because of that sticky honey, you definitely want to put that on the rack. So that's going to stick to the pan. So I'm going to wash my hands. I'm going to grease my rack, put that on there, put this in the oven. It's going to be about, thinking 50 minutes to an hour. We want it between the temperature of 175 and 180. Wash my hands, but like I was saying a little bit, finishing up on my story, I'm sure I did a lot of flops at that rest home, but it was a good nurturing experience for me to continue on cooking and the love to serve others and, you know, serve your family, serve your friends, and in your community. So, sticky hands as we wash. Yeah, I'll have to start somewhere. Let's go ahead and check in that oven to see how that chicken is doing. We could turn the pan around. One thing you do want to keep track of it because it has the honey, the sweetness, and that can caramelize really quickly. So keep an eye on it. You can see on the bottom, the drippings on the bottom, that is really getting burnt. So it's a good thing we put that rack on there. So it's looking good. Got my baked potatoes in there, so just flip it around a little bit so it just cooks evenly. We got about 20 minutes to go. All right, these have been in here for 50 minutes. Probably could have went 45 because you really got to watch it. You can see the caramelization of that sugar, but let's give it a test to see if the internal temperature is what we need. And how about if I put my glasses on? Oh yeah, it's over 180. So these could have went about 5 minutes less. So we're going to let this sit and rest a little bit before we put our little bit of hot honey sauce. If you want to catch my hot honey sauce recipe, go ahead and I'll try to put a link to it over here. If not, it'll be in my description. And you can see how to make that hot honey sauce because you can use it for lots of things. You can use it for chicken and waffles. You can use it for coarse chicken. You can use it for pizza and all kinds of things. Let's let this cool. We'll be back. So we're ready for eating. It's cooled down. I put a little drizzle of this hot honey. Let's give it a try. We got sweet potato. We've got cornbread. And you can put it on your cornbread too, but I don't want to overdo it. See if I can get some of the crispy skin and some of the meat. Let's give it a try. Nice and crispy. Meat is really good. Very flavorful. Okay, so I'm not feeling that heat too bad. I probably didn't get a bite that Yummy. I'm going to go sit down and enjoy this, and I'll be back to wrap this up. Gotta eat it while it's hot. Mm. Anyway, here's the recap. I really liked that dish a lot. It was very crispy with the oven baked, and it's sometimes hard. It's a little bit of uh, trial and error, scientificness when you're doing oven baked chicken. Um, Sorry, I'm putting stuff away and I'm talking to you. But yeah, so the only thing maybe I would do better, do a little differently, was the honey. Maybe I wouldn't coat it in so much honey. It still was really, really good. So I'm like, I don't know if I want to play with that. And then part of me is like, maybe I really should have coated it in um, the hot honey. If you are a person that tends to like a lot of heat, that would probably work. I was a little nervous about that because I didn't want to make it too spicy. I was just trying that out. I mean, I'm still new to this hot honey stuff. So yeah, that was one thing I would change. And then looking over my video and what I did, I thought, well, maybe the only thing I needed to change was the baking powder. You know, when we first seasoned the chicken and let it sit in the fridge and hang out and get that seasoning on it and let that sit and marry a little bit. Maybe we really didn't need to put the baking powder. I'm trying to think. I don't think I put the baking powder in the second. And with my breadcrumbs, I might have only needed it in that to get that skin really crispy. Saying all that, it wasn't overly salty when you use baking powder or baking soda when you're coating it to help make your crust crispy. It can tend to be over salted if you don't be really careful with that. What do you mean by be really careful? Don't put too much baking soda. I was like, oh, I want it really crispy. Let me put, 2 teaspoons or a whole teaspoon. You might not need a whole teaspoon. The baking powder I found is less salty, and I think I put a teaspoon of baking powder in that, all in all. But there's not much I would change. Just maybe the honey, not quite as much honey, and you have to really be careful with that pudding. You've got to put it on a rack because the sugars from the honey will caramelize in the oven. You kind of have it in a hot oven, so you don't want your chicken to burn. So, and I would cook it 5 minutes less than what I did. But you got to keep track because our ovens all like maybe a little bit different, and where you live too. When I lived in Texas, certain things would bake really very quick compared to when I lived in upstate New York, and now I live in Washington. So there's little variations on your where you live, the altitude. I mean, that's mostly for cakes, but I have found it for cooking pasta, making baked potatoes. Don't know what that's all about. Maybe someday I'll research it and I'll let you know when I find out. But anyway, yeah, there's not a whole lot I would really change with that recipe. Is really good. I love the ginger in it. It just gives it that little something. You're like, and it wasn't overpowering. So yeah, and I hope you really like this video. Hope you give it a try. If your family loves crispy chicken, we just love crispy chicken. So if you do, go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you like that. And I'll try to do a few more chicken recipes this summer. I might do just a little short on, I made chicken francese. That's chicken breast that's coated in a seasoned flour. Then you dip it in an egg and milk mixture, and then it makes a really nice sauce with that, lemon and white wine. That is so scrumptious. That's a great dish to serve with for if you're having special guests over. You want to wow them. It's really nice recipe. So, but also this summer we're continuing our classic summer uh, picnic recipes. We're having the picnics, having the barbecues. We've got to have those classic. And I started one of my videos saying, you know, there's like top 20 uh, trending, not trending. I think there's like, yeah, there's 20 to 40 that like people want every summer. We all want macaroni salad, usually, but pasta salad, baked beans, our special marinades for our chicken, and all kinds of salads. So we're going to be doing something with watermelon. I make a really yummy watermelon fresca drink. I think you call it fresca, watermelon fresca, aqua fresca. I think it's called aqua fresca. I'm not up on my Spanish, sorry. But it's a really good drink, and I do know that. And then also we're going to make a savory summer salad with watermelon. You got it with some feta cheese. So if you love sweet and savory, you want to catch that video. And yeah, and also don't forget about our um, old fashioned dessert series. We have that too. If you missed, I have a raspberry and nectarine pie. If you missed it, you want to see that, friends, because that was so delicious. It was so delicious. I don't want you to miss out on it. It was such a pretty pie, too. And then I have a little shorter video on what if you have leftover pie crust, what you should do with that, because there's a yummy treat that my mom always made, and I share that with you. So if you haven't subscribed, I would love it if you join this community. And please give me some feedback. You know, what's some recipes you'd like to see, or, you know, what meals are the most difficult for you to get in. A lot of people write it's dinners. Like, what am I going to make for dinner? Well, I got you covered. I got a lot of recipes here. So go ahead and check them out. See if there's something you might like. So we will see you next time. It's always a pleasure. I really enjoy coming to you. Like I said, I've cooked for decades, and I wanted to share the fun times and the fun recipes, delicious recipes that I've learned over the years. So have a great week, friends. We'll see you next time. Keep cooking.